Hey you, welcome to Home to Me, a podcast where we stop performing niceness like it's an unpaid internship in likability. Spoiler alert, kindness does not require self-abandonment. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Home to Me. I am so glad that you are here with me today. I hope you are having a gorgeous Thursday. Today, I thought that I would continue the theme of boundaries and self-trust by doing an episode about breaking up with the nice girl identity. So this one perhaps is going to resonate more with you if you live in a female body, if you have had a female experience. This is going to maybe be more for you. But if you're a man, please stick around. I still think you will find it really helpful, especially if you are an ally of women. And of course, always, if you disagree with me, go ahead and leave your comments. The more the better. Okay. I've been wanting to do an episode like this for a long time, but I was kind of like nudged in the direction this week because my mom is visiting with her friend, and her friend is a guy, and we were on holiday this week, and I have a 3-year-old son, and for his birthday, they bought him this really cute racetrack because he's obsessed with Lightning McQueen. And we put it together at the first Airbnb we stayed at, and then at the second one he wanted to build it again. And my husband and I went out, I think, and my mom was helping my son build this racetrack back up, and she was having a little bit of a hard time because honestly it's the most complicated machine I've ever seen in my life. It's not a machine, whatever. So eventually, and I don't even think that I'm going to say eventually because my son has the attention span of a squirrel. So it was probably like 5 minutes in of my mom struggling to put this thing together. He was like, maybe we should go ask Jack. I'm going to call my mom's friend Jack because I didn't actually ask him if it's okay if I use his name on here. Maybe you should go ask Jack to help. My 3-year-old. So I'm not going to read too much into this because he is 3. But a part of me at the back of my brain was like, did he say that? Because already his 3-year-old brain is like, a man would be better at this. And whether that is my own projection from growing up in such a patriarchal world and seeing so many patriarchal systems everywhere, or whether that is just actually what's happening and my son is in fact, in all the experiences he's had as a 3-year-old, learned that men are better at building shit than women. I don't know, but I don't like it. That made me think about all the ways that my son could have been influenced. If that is what has happened, I'm not freaking out about it. But if that is what has happened, what are all the ways that could have happened? And when my mom told me that, I wasn't here, but when my mom told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? Why? Anyway, like I said, not freaking out about it because I don't even know if that's why he said it. Regardless, let's look a little bit at nice girls. And let's look a little bit at the nice girl script we were all raised with. And what I mean by nice girl script is somebody always agreeable, accommodating, self-sacrificing, never angry. When they are irritated or have a big feeling, it is also okay to tease the nice girl about it, to roll your eyes at the nice girl about it, to say, ugh, okay, she's upset again. Oh, are you blah, blah, blah. It's okay to do that. You can be very condescending to the nice girl. That's part of the script. It's fine. Especially if you're a man, 100%. Or the nice girl's mom, 100%. You can absolutely do that. A nice girl is also a person who has a lot of empathy, who has no problem giving more than she's receiving, who understands that it is her job as a human being to make herself as palatable to the larger group that she's a part of, whatever group she's in, as possible. And that means not ruffling feathers. That means not being upset by something. That means going with the flow and means going with the majority. Okay. I think society is set up in a way to teach us all that. If we're lucky enough to have parents that combat that, it's fantastic. Or friends or mentors, whatever, that combat that, lucky us. But if we don't, that's usually what we grow up with. And we're left with nice girl things. And this is the nice girl script that we walk into our life with. This is the nice girl script that we make friends with. This is the nice girl script that we get married with. This is the nice girl script that we raise our children with. And that's why I think it's important for us to look at it. This nice girl script is reinforced with culture, family, religion, the fucking media. Oh my gosh, I see it everywhere. I love rewatching old movies. I still love the movies, but we can all see now when we watch old movies that there are just so many fucking problematic things in there. And I'm like, this is what I grew up with. When I was in my most formative years, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, this is the shit I was watching. And this is the message that I received. What do guys like? How do guys see me? What is a cool girl? Am I allowed to be upset when a guy cancels on me last minute? If I'm upset with him that he hasn't replied to me for 2 days, I'm the crazy one. I'm the overbearing one. I need to relax. If I don't want to drink, if I don't want to have sex with somebody, if I don't want to smoke weed, if I don't want to whatever the fuck, that's me. That's on me. My choices as a person, my choices that I make for myself, they're not relevant if the larger group don't agree. What I just said is basically the exact fucking script that I grew up with. Like I said 2 podcast episodes ago, there was not a rule on the earth that I would break, ever. Part of my nice girl script. Nice girls don't break rules. Unless, of course, you're doing it for a guy, then it's fine. But in general, nice girls don't break rules, right? We don't do that. That's not nice. And so I grew up, right, in this very patriarchal home, this very patriarchal family, and this very patriarchal society and culture. And I moved to America, another patriarchal society. So this has definitely been a reinforced script for me. Being nice, though, always means that I'm abandoning my own needs and my values. So a big part of my script as a nice girl is staying quiet to avoid conflict, over apologizing, hiding my anger, and lying awake night after night after night, questioning every single thing I said and every single thing I did. Basically, like living in a body that doesn't quite belong to me, right? That's what I would describe it as. I'm living in a body that doesn't quite belong to me. Of course it belongs to me, but not quite. Other people are allowed to touch it. Other people are allowed to comment on it. Other people are allowed to make adverts on how I can make it look different. And that I probably should, because that's what, girls do. Other people are allowed to make judgments about me off of it. And so that's what I mean. Like, there is just this sense, I think, and tell me if you're a guy, if the experience is similar for you. I haven't heard that before, but that doesn't mean it's not true. But I know as a woman, growing up, I didn't ever feel like my body properly belonged to me. I went shopping for a wetsuit once with my dad. And I was in the store trying on these wetsuits, and I tried one wetsuit on. It was so uncomfortable to get on. Holy shit, the worst fucking thing I've ever put on my body. Ew. Scratchy material, stiff as shit, like fucking horrible. Like as I was trying to like pull it up, like tore my fingers open because of how rough the outside material was. Just like so uncomfortable, and definitely too short. My waist is quite long. I have like short legs, and then I have like a longer waist. So the waist of this wetsuit was all wrong. So when I zipped it up, my shoulders kept being pulled down and back. And this wetsuit was a medium. So when I was shopping for wetsuits, I was maybe 15, 16. And I was athletic and in a smaller body, definitely, than I am now back then. And so for me, I was always in a size small clothes. This sweatshirt was a size medium. I came out, there were 2 ladies that were working at the store. I came out and I was like, I don't know if it fits. This is obviously the first wetsuit I'm buying. I don't really know what I'm looking for. And the ladies were like, oh, what size is that? And I said, it's a medium. And they said, well, it should fit. Isn't that interesting, right? Not asking me, how does it feel? Not asking me, are you comfortable? Not saying, you don't look comfortable. You're red in the face. You have like scratched up knuckles. Let's try something else. Just like, it's a medium, so it should fit. Like as if it doesn't fit, something is wrong with me. Who fucking cares if it's a small, medium, large, extra small, extra large? It's about how it fits my body, right? I'm going to spend fucking hours in this thing. The giant, heavy scuba shit on my back. It's very fucking important that I'm very comfortable in this, I'm going to get multiple UTIs from being fucking wet for 9 hours on diving days. it's got to be worth it. I've got to at least be comfortable and like in my head look cute. But these women are saying it should fit. So what do I do as the nice girl? I don't say, well, it doesn't fit. Get me a different one. And I hate this fucking material. I say, okay. My dad says, well, Steph, what do you think? In the next few months, are you going to get smaller or bigger? My body immediately feels so uncomfortable. I'm so upset. I want to cry. But I have no language to explain why, because nobody else is reacting. Everybody else is like, yeah, that's a normal question, expectantly waiting for the answer. So I'm like, I guess if those are the only two options, who the fuck is going to say bigger, right? Like I also grew up in a family where bigger bodies would often be commented on, just in general, not at me directly, but in general on other people. And lots of comments, always, lots of conversation around losing weight, eating less, being on diets, looking a certain way, whatever. I'm standing in this fucking wetsuit. I'm uncomfortable as hell. And I say, well, smaller. So my dad says, okay, well then get it. Then that's great. Then it'll fit you. And I bought this wetsuit. And I think I dived in that thing for maybe the next 2 years, I will say, until the wife of our diving instructor, she was a lot taller than me. She let me use one of her diving things because I just couldn't. I would fucking cry every time I put this thing on. It was fucking horrible. And I had to like pretend it was fine. I couldn't say anything. She was the only one who noticed, and she was the only one who offered me one of her wetsuits. I used to dive in her shorty wetsuits in fucking ice cold water, and I would freeze to death and pretend I was fine just so that I wouldn't have to put on that stupid wetsuit. And you wouldn't think a wetsuit experience would have such a big impact on me, but it fucking did. Because I was so fucking nice. I was so nice. I have to be small. I have to be good. I was so fucking nice, and it just fucked me. I was the only one uncomfortable. I'm sure every other person in that wetsuit store that day forgot about that interaction in 3.5 seconds. And it still lives rent-free in my brain. This was almost 20 years ago now, and still lives rent-free in my brain. Still think about it a lot of the time. Now I think about it more as an empowering thing where I'm like, never again. But before I used to think about it a lot. And now I see how much my body wasn't listened to, not even by me. And I think when we talk about the nice girl script, we can also call it the good girl script, right? Because we all want to be good. It comes from us being children. Good children get love and affection and care and kindness and compassion and safety, right? Bad children don't get that. That is how a child's brain works. A child's brain can be good and bad. That's black and white. So if you're not good, you're bad. And if you're bad, chances are, especially if you grew up in the time I grew up, you're not going to get love, attention, affection, those kinds of things. You're going to get yelled at and screamed at and silent treatment. I don't know how to say that. Why the nice girl identity and the nice girl script is so deeply ingrained. It's not just because we want to be palatable and accepted and liked. I think it's also because we want to be safe and we want to be loved and we want to be accepted and we want to belong. So that makes me think that a good girl script is the same as the nice girl script. If we can start to make tiny, tiny, tiny little baby steps towards being more comfortable with being kind versus being nice, then we don't have to sacrifice our goodness to still be able to show up authentically and get the fuck rid of that nice girl script once and for all. Okay, so probably when you are in a situation and you are used to choosing to be nice, to be compliant, to be palatable, to be amiable, to be undisruptive, to be any word related to those words, chances are there is noise in your head. There is a lot of white noise. There's thoughts, and these could be in the form of actual thoughts that you can pick up on, or it could just feel like a scramble. So much so that in those moments, you're reacting out of instinct. You're not thinking through what you're going to say next. Words are kind of just like flying out of your mouth. Yes, that's fine. Yes, I agree. No, I don't mind. Yes, that sounds great. Or that feeling where somebody's doing something and you're not comfortable, but it's almost like someone's got you by the throat and you just can't say what you feel about it. Like, please don't touch me, and I don't like it when you stand this close to me, and this is making me uncomfortable. Please give me some space. all of those times, our nice girl scripts are overriding our rational thinking brains, and our ability to choose ourselves, to stick up for ourselves, to say how we feel, to give our opinion, to say no, etc., is turned all the way down. We almost don't have access to that version of ourselves. That's because in those moments, it feels safer to be nice than it does to be honest. In some cases, that is actually true. Let's be honest. We live in a world where there are many unsafe people. Sometimes you get a vibe, sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it's not. So sometimes our safety radars for not speaking up are very accurate and on point, right? But sometimes they're not. Sometimes our brains rewind, take us back to the time where we had to be nice, to be safe, to belong. I also spoke about this a few podcasts ago. But being safe and belonging and being accepted are extremely important survival strategies for children. So if we learn that in order to get those things, in order to get safety, survival, belonging, acceptance, we need to be nice and comply, we tend to default to that when we feel that same sense of lack of safety as adults, even though the situation is totally different. It's taking us all the way back to when we are little girls with no power and no voice. So what we want to learn how to do, us with the nice girl scripts, is we want to learn how to pause. We want to learn the power of pausing. This is a superpower. I'm telling you, it is a life-changing superpower. The ability to pause is literally priceless. When you can learn how to pause every time you feel scared, but you can see with your eyes that you are not in immediate danger. For example, for the love of God, don't pause when a car is about to hit you, right? Like jump out of the way. That's not what we want to be practicing pausing, because in that case, it is very important that you are reacting to the imminent danger. So you want those reactions to continue. Okay, perfect. If you're doing a public speaking thing, if you are speaking with someone that's making you feel uncomfortable, if you are in a fight with your friend, if you are in an argument with your partner/partners, when you're at work, talking to your boss, talking to your colleagues, when you're doing a project, practicing to pause when you can see that you're not in imminent danger is, it's a life skill. I'm telling you, they need to teach kids that life skill. I try to teach it to my 3-year-old too, like just pause, just hold on before we react. He's obviously fucking doesn't do it because he's 3, but hopefully one day he'll get it. Anyway, how you're going to learn to do that is you're going to learn by starting afterwards. So chances are right at the beginning, you're going to keep reacting. Things are going to fly out of your mouth that you don't mean to say. You're going to fuck it up. That's fine. Perfect. Because you are scared and you want people to like you and you don't want to be a nuisance or a burden or unpalatable or loud, etc., etc. I fucked it up all the time. Growth. It's wonderful. So when you do /say something, for example, do you want to go to this thing? Yes, I do. And you just said that and you don't really mean it and you really don't actually want to go. You were just too scared to say no. Afterwards, when you've left the interaction, you're going to say, okay, that was a time where I meant to say no, but I actually said yes. So I'm going to practice that entire interaction again. So you're going to imagine the person asking you, blah, 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 would you like to go, la, la, la? And you're going to say, no, thank you. I don't want to go. Or, I'm so sorry, I can't. Or, I'm not sure what I'm doing that day. Let me get back to you on that. Okay, whatever feels comfortable. We're not going to force you to be like, no, thank you. You're going to pause afterwards, right? And then you're going to replay the interaction and you're going to imagine what you would have said. Probably what's going to happen is when you imagine, okay, my dog is panting like you ran a marathon. Probably what's going to happen when you do this is you're going to start to feel anxious. When you imagine saying what you actually want to say, you're going to start to feel anxious. Your heart's going to beat faster. For me, it's in my chest. My chest feels a little bit tight, and then my throat feels like someone's like just pushing right on my throat. And my belly feels like a little bit like tingly. Those are my tells in my body that I'm anxious and that I'm scared someone's not going to like me. So pay attention. How do you feel? Where do you feel it in your body? You're probably going to feel anxious. Then you're going to take a very intentional pause of 20 seconds or 5 minutes, however long you have, and you're going to take some very deep breaths. Put your hand on your belly, put your hand on your chest. Take some very deep breaths and then say to yourself, you're safe. You're allowed to say no. Saying no is maybe going to make people upset. Maybe it's going to make you feel guilty. Maybe it's going to make you want to crawl under a rock and live there for a few years. None of those things are going to kill you. Metaphorically, the rock thing will, but we know we're just kidding. You're going to tell yourself, I'm safe. I'm not a child anymore. Now, saying no is just going to feel uncomfortable like a lot of other things. And I want to be uncomfortable because when I feel uncomfortable, I know I'm growing. See, like you're going to tell yourself something cutesy like that. Come up with it yourself. Come up with whatever cutesy thing you can remember and feels good, okay? The more humorous, the better. But if you're not like a very big sense of humor person, then just come up with something really sincere. Something like, babe, you're safe. You're allowed to say no to stuff. It's okay if other people are disappointed. They're allowed to be disappointed. Everybody's allowed to have their feelings. Full disclosure, is it going to take away your anxiety? Probably not. You're going to feel guilty. You're new at this, okay? You're still practicing. You're still a baby. You're still a very tiny little bird and you just woke up and you're still like, where the fuck am I? And you're like, oh my gosh, I have wings, but they don't have feathers on them yet. And you're still like gonna baby bird feed and learn some stuff. And then eventually you're gonna fly from the nest. Okay, it's fine. We're gonna take tiny little baby bird steps. Don't expect your anxiety to go away. It's not gonna go away. It's there for a very adaptive reason. What you're gonna say is, thank you. Okay, so you're gonna start by saying, you're safe. You're allowed to say no to stuff and they're allowed to be upset. No one's ever died from being disappointed. No one's ever died from feeling guilty. You're going to say those things to yourself. And then you're going to say, thank you, anxiety, because you're going to notice it's still there. You're going to say, thank you, anxiety. I see that you're really working hard to try to keep me safe. I really appreciate you. I don't think that you are there to hurt me or to fuck me over. I know that you are there to make sure that I make good decisions and that I am accepted. But I just want to remind you that I'm a grown-up now and I accept myself. And that's the most important thing. So I'm going to go say no to this thing. And I would appreciate it if you could just tone it down a notch. Okay? Because I'm going to say no and I'm allowed to say no and we're not unsafe. Okay? You're going to talk to yourself like that. Like such a nice way. P.S. We spoke about rules. Fuck knows how many episodes ago. 1, 2, 1. Last episode. We spoke about rules. See, this is the rule that I spoke about. You can't change your mind. Yes, you fucking can. You can change your mind as much as you fucking want. It's your mind. You do with your mind what you want to do with your mind. Okay? It's yours. So change your mind. Say, actually, hey, I know I said yes to that, but turns out, no, thank you. Just go say no. You can go back. And if you can't do it, it's fine. Just go to the stupid thing. But when you're there, be like, hey, you came today and it is making a part of you feel less anxious. That's very nice. But next time, we're going to practice saying no to this, okay? Like you're just going to keep talking to yourself like you're this mama bird or this like mama human, baby steps, only nice things, right? Not like, oh, why did you say no? Blah. Because what happens usually is we'll be like, why did you say yes to this, Stephanie? Blah, 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 blah. And then very fast, it changes into, well, why did she even ask me? And she knows I have so much going, blah, blah. And now you're mad at everyone, right? Your husband's gets to play golf and you have to go to this stupid thing with your friend Angela and you didn't want to fucking go. And it's so fucking boring. And why should you be forced to go to her company thing on a fucking Saturday? Don't you work hard enough? Yes, you do. And fucking Angela, why can she never go anywhere by herself? This is so annoying. And she always says no. And now I say yes. And this is so unfair. Soon we are mad at everybody. Ourselves, Angela, our husbands, our everybody. Right? Like all of our people. I get it. You know, I was there too. So I'm sometimes low-key still am. Because sometimes I have a really hard time saying no still. Anyway, practice the pause. That's going to be the only advice for today. It's going to be practice the pause. Practice the pause. Practice the pause. I'm going to say it until you remember it. Practice the pause. Okay. I want you to learn the difference between being nice and being kind. Because When sometimes I talk about people being too nice, they think the opposite is being an absolute dick. And that is not accurate at all. You can be so very kind and still say no and still have boundaries and still not be a nice girl. Nice girls are usually not kind. They're just amiable. They're just very palatable. Nice girls are remembered for how small they make themselves, how convenient they make themselves, how little space they take up, how easy they are to get along with, right? Kindness is rooted in values. Kindness is sometimes very uncomfortable and it's honest. Now, I don't mean that you should go and say out loud every thought that's in your head, like I did the first time my therapist told me to be kind and not nice. I was like, oh, it's kind to tell everybody about themselves. No, that's not true. That's not accurate. But being kind to somebody is not faking how you feel. It's not appeasing them when they are saying something that makes you uncomfortable. And being kind considers both you and the other person, right? Like you're thinking to yourself, how do I feel? And I'm going to share it and be authentic here but you're also thinking to yourself, is this information that the other person needs to have? Niceness is usually rooted in fear. Fear of disapproval, fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of not being accepted, fear of being a burden, all of those kinds of things. So when you realize that you're reacting because you're scared, it's usually when you're being nice and not kind. Niceness is also sometimes, and I want to actually say often, dishonest. Like we're trying to keep the peace. That's the priority. We're not trying to share honest feedback or have honest interactions and communications with people. It also prioritizes being palatable over being real. So where kindness considers you and the other person, this only considers the other person and how they will feel, and not you at all. So ask yourself some questions. Do I say yes when I mean no? Do I apologize when I'm not sorry? Do I stay silent to avoid conflict? Do I think the only time that I'm being kind is if I'm saying yes or when I'm complying with something? Because that's nice, right? And then how do I feel after I'm nice? Do I feel proud of myself? Do I respect myself? Or do I feel resentful, angry, and disappointed in myself? Those are going to be the questions to help you navigate the difference between those two things. Do that, ask yourself these questions, and then practice the pause. So in closing, reflect a little bit on what kind could look like in your life now. How are you able to show up kindly instead of showing up nicely? I also think it can be really helpful to journal the times that we say yes, or that we agree to something we disagree with, or that we do something that we really don't want to do. I think it can be really helpful to journal those times and then pay attention to the why. Why did I say yes to this? Why did I do this? Why did I agree with this? Why did I not speak up here? What was going on in my head and in my body? The more we get to know ourselves, the more we get to identify where our feelings sit in our body, why we do things, what we're scared of, the more familiar we become with ourselves. And the easier it is then to start to make small changes. So that combined with the pausing, it's really going to help you kickstart this rebellion against being the nice girl. So feel free, please, to DM or share with me what nice thing you are going to be breaking up with this week. I always leave you with a little quote at the end. So are you ready? Okay, cool. You don't owe anyone your likability. You owe yourself your integrity. Being kind might disappoint others. Actually, usually will, depending on how nice you are and how long you've spent surrounding yourself with people who are really, really comfortable with your niceness. Being kind might / probably will disappoint others, but being nice usually just disappoints you. Being kind might disappoint others, but being nice usually only disappoints you. Remember that as you go into your week. Leave me a comment. I'm thinking of doing a little Q&A soon, so if you have any Qs that I can A, let me know. Those are your closing quotes. Thank you so much for spending another Thursday with me. Welcome home.